All praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakar Kwadash, double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and Shalom to the elect of the nation of Israel. And this is going to be a lesson on how being attracted to heathen women is no excuse to be a sellout to your whole nation, man. And this is going to be going into how what King Solomon did, which I wouldn't even personally say that King Solomon was a sellout to his whole nation. Right, I wouldn't necessarily say that he sold us out, but what his sins that he did was the cause of our nation falling. Although there would have been other Israelites that can't try and judge Solomon for what he did because they had sins too. So had they have been king instead of Solomon, they would have did things to make our nation fall anyway. Just like how when King David did the sins that he did, several other Israelites at the time had sins themselves. Like every single Israelite in general that's ever lived on this earth has had sins. The only Israelite to have never sinned is Yahweh Shai, right? Now, this is 1 Kings chapter 11 and verse 3. And he had 700 wives, princesses, and 300 concubines. So every single one of Solomon's wives was a princess, meaning that she was a high-ranking woman from whatever nation they came from, including our nation, right? Especially from our nation at that time, man. King Solomon got the best quality of every single nation's women, man, including ours, right? And 300 concubines, and his wives turned away his heart. Now, that's very telling that it says his wives turned away his heart and not his concubines, because a concubine is a woman that you pretty much just sleep with, man. And when a man only just cares to sleep with a woman and doesn't care to spend that much time with her in any other way, he can more easily deal with that woman, man. She ain't really got no power over him. If a man just sets it in his mind that the only use he has for a woman is to sleep with her, she has no power over him, really, man. Right? Not really. Especially a man like in King Solomon's situation where he had 700 wives and 300 concubines. So if one woman was acting up, he had 999 other women that he could go to. Just like how in this world, man, in times where we might have a few more women that like us, right? Like when a woman's acting like an idiot towards us, it's a lot easier to just be like, yeah, okay, you do your bullshit over there, and then the guy goes over there and does that, right? Whether it be one other woman, two, like it's easier to do that, right? It's easier to even if you're not having actually with those women, it's easier to like maneuver amongst women if you've got one or two women that you are actually actively trying to pursue rather than one woman, man. And that's one of the reasons why Yahweh set the law that he set up of men being able to have multiple wives, because that keeps women humble, man. Women are never as humbled when dealing with a man when they know that he can get other women, especially if they're in a society where they're not allowed to get other men. Because one of the things that women say in this society is, oh, okay, if my man's gonna get another woman, then I'm getting another man. No, you're not allowed. That's a sin, right? And if people will complain about that, right? But look at the society that we're in right now. In this society that we're in right now, women are allowed to have as many men as they want. And look how miserable they are for all the attempts and extra attempts that these women are getting to try and find the so-called man that they think they deserve. All these extra attempts where they're not just locked down to being with one man for the rest of their life, and they're being able to test out the waters with 50, 100, 20, 10, 2, 3 different men, and they still ain't found a man that they think can hold it down for them. They still ain't found it. Because men, when it comes to this thing, really are not the problem. It's the women that are the problem, man. It's really the women that are the problem, and this is one of the reasons why this society is such a destroyed place, is because the women have had access to more than one man. It's led to a wicked world. The women have got access to more than one man, but the men have got less access to the amount of women that they really should be having access to. To be honest with you, right? Verse 4, for it came to pass when Solomon was old that his wives turned away his heart after other gods. Now, this potentially could have even included Israelite women that was doing this. It doesn't necessarily say exactly. It does say in verse 8, likewise he says, likewise did he for all his strange wives, which burn incense and sacrifice unto their gods. Now, in the kingdom of heaven, We're gonna get rid of all these idols of these other gods, man. And none of these heathen women are gonna make to try and come and tell us some, oh, come and worship Ganesh the elephant and none of this. We're gonna be like, well, bitch, please. We ain't gonna fall for none of that bullshit. But like King Solomon's wives would have been beautiful, man, and it doesn't. He would have got them wives, them 1,000 wives and all of that. Set 1,000 women, excuse me. He would have got them gradual over time, man. So when he's in his older age, and he's got all these young, beautiful wives, they're able to persuade him, whisper in his ear, and that he's weak now. You know what I mean? He's coming to the end of his days, and he would have fell for some of that bullshit. He fell for it. He fell for some of that bullshit, man. Verse 4. For it came to pass when Solomon was old that his wives turned away his heart after other gods, and his heart was not perfect with Yahweh, his power, as was the heart of his father, as was the heart of David his father. For Solomon went after Ashtaroth, the goddess of the Zidonians, and after Milcom, the abomination of the Ammonites. And Solomon did evil in the sight of Yahweh, and went not fully after Yahweh, as did David his father. Now, it does say that in the scriptures, and like we know that David did things right when it came wrong when it came to Yahweh as well, but Yahweh had mercy on him for those things, right? But he decided not to have mercy on these things that Solomon did in this particular way. He did have mercy on Solomon for not rending the kingdom completely away from him, right? And it was told that this was going to happen. This is in the scriptures that this was going to happen, man. It was in the scriptures that if he sins, I'm gonna judge him and all that. It's in the scriptures, man. I'm not gonna go to it, that specific prophecy in this lesson, but it's in there though, and you can look it up. What was the prophecy that all you have to do is look up what was the prophecy that God had concerning King Solomon to King David? What was it that he told him? Verse 7, then did Solomon build an high place for Chemosh, the abomination of Moab, in the hill that is before Jerusalem, and Molech for the abomination of the children of Ammon. So he was just going off, right? Now, had Solomon have not did this, everything would have been nice stuff. And this is what I'm trying to say. Like, just because you like heathen women and you find a heathen woman attractive, right? That's no excuse to sell out your own nation. Now, I personally don't believe what anyone says if they say that they don't find any women of another nation attractive. Like if someone's going out of their way to try and say that they've never seen an Edomite woman and thought, oh, she's actually quite attractive, like you're trying too hard to prove something to somebody. Like you haven't seen one of them. Just like how if Esau tries to say that he hasn't ever seen any Israelite woman attractive, he's a liar. Because there's several beautiful Israelite women in our nation, man. Several. Like loads of them. But then there's also loads that are not. Like the percentage of Israelite women that are actually attractive is low. But that percentage that's low, when you consider how many Israelites there are in the world, is actually a large number. But it's not a large number in comparison to the whole nation. So there would be millions of Israelite women that are attractive, but yet that's still a low percentage in terms of the whole nation due to the curses that our nation are under. Now, just because you might see Indian woman and think, oh man, I like Indian women, or especially ones that wear the ting round and all that, and they got brown eyes and they got the long flowing hair and they don't smell like turmeric and all that, all right. But that's not a reason to be trying out be on some the heathens can be saved. Just because you slept with 1-2 white women on that, right? You might like blonde women. I don't, but you might like blonde women, right? And just because you dealt with 1-2 blonde women now Esau can be saved. Nah, fam. The Edomites don't get to be saved just because you find Edomite women attractive. Who are you? You think Yahweh's gonna stop Obadiah just so that you can keep sleeping with Edomite women in the kingdom of heaven? Nah, you're gonna get 1,000 years to get your fill. And after that, you're never going to get a chance ever again. So if you're a brother that you say you'll never deal with an Edomite woman, okay, well, you're going to have 1,000 years to change your mind. And if you stay with that decision to never deal with an Edomite woman the whole time of the kingdom of heaven, then after that 1,000 years, you're never going to get the chance ever again. And that's on you. Like, that's fine. That you're not wicked. It's not going to be something that you have to really be like, man, I wish I would have back in the days. 5 years, 500 years into the kingdom. There was one Edomite woman and she was so pretty, like she actually almost looked like an Israelite woman, you know. Like, I had a chance to deal with it and that, but I just never, bruv, like I just couldn't even. I didn't even do it. Like, I kind of regret that still. Nah, you ain't gonna have to regret nothing. Because you're gonna have so many other women that are gonna be attractive anyway. Now, is pale skin gonna be something that's gonna completely disappear in the kingdom of heaven? Well, among us, yeah, we ain't gonna be getting no what's it called, man? No leprosy. But among the other nations, leprosy is gonna still very much be a thing, man. So there might still be women that have that pale skin way, the clean leper, unclean leper, and all that. But are they gonna be an Edomite? No, they're not. They're not gonna be an Edomite, right? There still might be people with pale skin in the kingdom amongst the heathens every now and again, but that's not an Edomite though. And in the kingdom, the dark skinned Israelite women, it's gonna be known that like all that stuff that the Israelite women be saying now about their people don't like dark skinned women. It wasn't because they were dark skinned. It was just because they was ugly and their personality stinked. It wasn't because of them having dark skin. Because dark skinned women, light skinned women, so called light skinned brown women and all that, it's all gonna be attractive. It's all gonna be very, very, very extremely beautiful. And Yahweh Shai is gonna be the beginning of setting the standard that dark skin is there's nothing wrong with it, man. His skin's gonna be like burnt brass, as if burned in the furnace, and no one's gonna be able to say anything about his appearance in a negative way. There's not gonna be nothing negative to say. He's gonna be the image of perfection, man. You understand that? Yahweh Shai's image is gonna be, if it was even possible for us to have thought in our mind to make a creature, a man, look a certain way, what we would have perceived in our mind, all the best attributes, would still not even amount to what Yahweh Shai actually is going to be. It took Yahweh to design Yahweh Shai. And he designed Yahweh Shai to look like what he looks like, if you believe what the scriptures say anyway. So how could you say anything about him when he looks like your creator? How could you say anything about his image? Right? Let's carry on. Verse 7. Then did Solomon build an high place for Chemosh, the abomination of Moab, in the hill that is before Jerusalem, and for Molech, the abomination of the children of Ammon. And likewise he did for all his strange wives, which burnt incense and sacrificed unto their idols. Now, this is something that Solomon did, but some other people try and change doctrines, man, based on the women that they find attractive, man. Or you're dating an Indian woman, you're dating a Ishmaelite woman, you might dating a Japhite woman and all that, and now you're talking about some all people can be saved. Some one so-called white woman made you some mashed potatoes one time, right? And put some seasoning on the chicken, and now you just lost your mind and think that all Edomites should be able to have a chance because one so-called white woman gave you the time of day. Nah. One so-called white woman at work called you handsome one time, and now you've just lost your mind, man. And now everyone can receive salvation. When you was in school, you had one so-called white teacher or one or two so-called white teachers that was nice to you. You at your gym, the receptionist there, she's not the best looking woman, but she's a bit cute and all that. She might have a bit of a back off in it. And now every single Edomite can receive a chance at the kingdom of heaven. No, absolutely not, man. Absolutely not. Right? Absolutely not. Right? You being attracted to heathen women does not allow the kingdom of heaven to be changed. Does not allow the prophecies of Yahweh to be changed. Obadiah chapter 1 and verse 18. And the house of Jacob shall be a fire, and the house of Joseph a flame, and the house of Esau for stubble, and they shall kindle in them and devour them, and there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau, for Yahweh spoken it. You know how many fine ass Edomite women are gonna be in this when this prophecy is coming to pass? Now they might not look fine when this prophecy is about to come to pass, but you know how many women that if they was to get a shower, bit of soap, you know what I mean, a bit of eau de toilette, bit of oils and all that in their skin and all that, a bit of shampoo and conditioner, a bit of brushing of their teeth, a bit of brushing of their hair, yeah, bit of foundation, a bit of concealer, or even just some natural face creams, right? You know how good some of these women would look that are going to be fulfilling this verse? But so what though? Just because a woman's beautiful, that doesn't mean that prophecy shouldn't be happening, man. Right? Let's get this as well, man. Let me get this too. Micah chapter 7 and verse 10. Then she that is mine enemy shall see, and shame shall cover her, which said unto me, where is Yahweh thy power? Mine eyes shall behold her. Now shall she be trodden down as the mire of the streets. You know how many of this is talking about Israelite women. You know how many of these Israelite women that are going to fulfill this prophecy are going to be extremely beautiful? Like, Brittany Renner's an attractive woman, right? Ruby Rose, that's an attractive woman. Beyonce is, all the Destiny's Child and all that. What's this other demon, man? What's her name, man? The other musician, I think she might be Northern Kingdom or something like that. Can't even remember her name, man. Can't even remember her name. But she did that one music video where she dressed up as like some black demon, man. Like, shit was bugged out, but she's wicked as hell. I think she might be Puerto Rican or something like that, maybe. I can't remember her name, and that's gonna know. But she's attractive too, right? But she's a demon though. Like, you know how many attractive women are gonna be fulfilling Micah 7 and 10? So what? You don't get to Micah 7 and 10 don't become exempt because you've got a cute face and some big breasts and a pretty face and a pretty hair. Your eyelashes are nice, right? You smell nice, and the ting round. That don't mean nothing, man. It means something, but it don't mean you get to be exempt from God's laws. When you read, let me read it. Let me read it, man. Leviticus chapter 20 and verse 10. And the man that committeth adultery with another man's wife, even he that committeth adultery with his neighbor's wife, the adulterer and the adulteress shall surely be put to death. Now, does it say anywhere in here, but if the man is more handsome than average, and if he's 6'5" and a head height taller than every other man, that he's exempt from being put to death? And if the woman is pretty and the ting round and her breasts are nice and she's got pretty face and she's got nice long hair and flowing and she can pretend to be a nice person, then she's exempt from this. Does it say that anywhere in there? No, it don't. It don't say that. So just like how the Israelites are exempt for being attractive, like Absalom was the most handsome Israelite in the world. He was the most handsome Israelite. So what does that really mean? If he was the most handsome Israelite, it really means that he was the most handsome man in the world, right? That's what it really means, man. Did he perish? Yeah, he did. Didn't he get darts thrown in his heart, man? Didn't he get darts thrown in his chest, thrown all up in his chest? Yes, he did. He didn't become exempt. He didn't become exempt, man. Moses didn't even become exempt from being judged for pissing your hair off, man. Never mind some heathens that are attractive, or because you find a heathen women attractive. That means that salvation's for everyone. Nah, salvation don't become for everyone just because you like a heathen woman, man. And I'm not saying this is a thing like, oh, you're a sellout if you deal with a heathen woman, because I don't believe that. I don't believe that you're a sellout for dealing with an Edomite woman. I don't believe that the Edomite woman's the mark of the beast. You ain't gonna hear that bullshit from me. You ain't gonna hear the mark of the beast is a white woman, brother. You ain't gonna hear me say you're dating that snow dragon. you ain't gonna hear me say no shit like that. That you're dating that red dragon and all that. You ain't gonna hear me say that, bro. You ain't gonna hear me say that. You ain't gonna hear me look at Jake sideways because he's tired of Eve's foolishness and dates another woman. You ain't gonna hear me say that. I ain't gonna look at Jake sideways for that, but I am gonna look at Jake sideways for thinking that just because he's got a heathen woman that treats him good, that she somehow now becomes exempt from the prophecies, and that she's been able to jump over the prophecies and enter into the covenant of Yahweh. Nah, she don't become a part of the covenant of Yahweh through you neither. She don't be a heathen woman cannot become an Israelite through you. Her children can, but she can't. And that's why it's funny to me when the Israelite woman thinks she can escape being under the curses by dating Esau. You still are Edomite. I mean, you're still an Israelite. Your children are going to be Edomites now, but they're going to grow up to hate you because Esau hates Israel. So you're actually producing extra oppressors against your own self. And when they start growing up gradually, they're going to move away from you. And that's a thing for these so-called mixed race women as well, man, that they want to try and blend off with Esau and that, and they think that because they're mixed race that they're lesser of a so-called black person. Not really. And you can't escape being a so-called black person for your children. Your children are gonna they might come out paler, right? With yellow hair, blonde hair and all that, but they're still Edomites though, because your man's an Edomite. You haven't escaped anything, man. You haven't now. You've made Edomites, but you're still whatever you are, though, right? You don't become a part of their thing because you gave them children. You're still whatever you are, man. Whereas us as Israelite men, like that to be fair, that could actually be a stressful thing for a woman to actually have to think about, right? But it's an easy decision to make. Do you care more about the society that you're in right now? Okay, if you care about that, then you're going to choose children, trying to have children for whatever the person that's winning right now is, whatever nation they are. But if you care more about your child's complete future all the way to the end, you're going to have a child that's an Israelite because you understand that that child is going to receive the kingdom. But most women of our nation, they don't understand that, man. And that's why you've got a stupid trend now of so-called black women even trying to say that they want to unalive their children in the womb if they find out that it's a male, because they're just lost. They don't know. They don't understand what they're doing, man. They're just on foolishness. Hebrews chapter 8 and verse 10. For this is the covenant I'll make with the house of Israel after those days. So if you're not an Israelite, this isn't going to happen to you. Saith Yahweh, I will put my laws into their mind and write them in their hearts, and I'll be to them a God, and they shall be to me a people. Now, does it say anywhere in here, but if a heathen woman's got an Israelite man and she's been cooking him mashed potatoes and she's been making him curry and she's been making him naan bread and samosas, right? And if she's been making him soup, right? She's been making him Chinese food dishes. She's been making him spring rolls, that she's exempt and she's now a part of the covenant and she's the children of Israel. Does it say that anywhere? No, it don't. It don't say that in there. Verse 11, and they shall not teach every man his neighbor, every Israelite man his Israelite neighbor, or every Israelite their Israelite neighbor, and every man his brother, saying, no, the Lord, we ain't gonna have to tell them nothing. For all shall know me from the least to the greatest, from the least to the greatest Israelite. The other nations ain't gonna know Yahweh, man. They're gonna have to learn it manually. They're gonna have to learn about Yahweh manually. We're gonna get it automatic, man. Just like how an automatic car, right? You don't have to worry about going up the gears. You go up in gear when you accelerate naturally. You go down in gear when you brake. When you're in a manual, you can't just go from first gear to fifth unless somebody knows something about driving that I ain't figured out yet, and you can do that, right? But the car will struggle. So it normally goes first, second, then you could potentially go from second to fourth, you know what I mean? But it's normally first, second, third, fourth, then fifth. That's the smoothest transition, right? First, second, third, fourth, then fifth. And if you want to reverse, you reverse. But in an automatic car, you don't have to worry about all that. You just push on the accelerator once you put it in drive, and it does that for you, right? So an automatic driver doesn't have to worry about changing the gears. Just like how we as in the kingdom are going to be automatic law keepers. We ain't going to have to worry about thinking about what gear we got to go in, man. We're going to get in gear for every single moment straight away. When it's time to keep the Sabbath, we're going to keep the Sabbath. When it's time to keep the Day of Atonement, we're going to keep the Day of Atonement, but a heathen ain't going to be able to just do that. They're going to have to get in gear. They're going to have to remember that those times are coming because we're going to remind them. Because they're going to be judged if they don't do it, right? But for us, it's just going to be, okay, yeah, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, reverse. You know? But for them, it's going to be, okay, so I got to find the biting point, blah, blah, blah. But you don't have to find the biting point, really, in an automatic car. You push the accelerator down and it will just jolt fast forward. But you don't have to find the biting point. You don't have to find a clutch and raise the clutch. You don't have to do all that. You just do it. You know? You just do. That's what it's going to be like for us in the kingdom, man. But for the heathen, they ain't part of this. And just because you like Edomite women or like Ishmaelite women or like heathen women, you might like Filipino women. Some Filipino women, man, they're very beautiful, right? But just because you like them, that don't mean that now heathens can be saved because you want that woman to make it. Like, you know how disrespectful it is to Yahweh Shai to try and say that everyone can receive salvation now just because really you find one heathen woman attractive. That's what it's normally about. It's not even like, it's not, when these people are trying to talk about some Esau can be saved, they can't even find 100 Edomites in their life that have done them good. It's normally like less than 10 Edomites that they're talking about. They want to receive salvation because they're talking all that. Someone that they might be at work with and all that, that treats them nice at work, but they don't know what that person's saying about them behind their back. They don't know how that same person treats other so-called black people. So just because they're treating you as a so-called black person with respect, do you know how they're treating other so-called black people that they see? No, you don't. You don't know how they're treating the other people of your nation when they see them. You don't know. Like Anthony Joshua and Idris Elba, they were getting treated real nice by Esau. But how do them same Edomites treat other Jakes that ain't rich and ain't celebrities? Michael Jackson used to get treated real nice by these heathens, Prince. But how did the same people that used to treat them nice treat random Jakes that ain't rich and famous? So you don't get to try and exempt a heathen because you like them. Who are you? You ain't the person that died for the nation of Israel's sins. Yahweh died. You didn't die for the sins. And it's not your nation, it's Yahweh's nation. So who are you? You gotta be careful out there, man. Like for all you Jakes out there, right, that be trying to talk about some heathens can be saved, right? Because one or two heathens treated you nice in your life. So what, man? What do they do behind the scenes, man? If they're an Edomite, they're gonna get what Esau's gonna get, whether you like it or not, including a woman that might be an Edomite. Literally, she ain't no white Jake or none of that. She's literally an Edomite, but she treats you nice. She don't become exempt because she threw it back on you a few times. So what, man? And she ain't a Jake because when she shakes her hips side to side, it twerks a bit. That don't make her a Jake neither. That just means that the ting round a bit. And when she's moving her body, it shakes. That don't mean she a Jake. that don't mean she a Jake, man. The Edomite woman don't become exempt just because she fancies Jake now. Oh, I think the black man, I really think the black man's handsome. Well, of course you do. In comparison to an Edomite, man. Of course you're going to think that the Israelite man's handsome. We look better than them. Of course you're going to think that. When it comes to bodybuilding, they darken their skin to be the same skin color as ours. Of course you're going to think that we're more attractive than them. We are. But that don't mean that you're exempt from what the same judgments that they're going to get now. Just because you find us handsome. Just because you got yourself a bit of jungle fever now. Now you're exempt. No, that's not how it works, man. And that's not how it's going to work for any of the other women of the other nations neither. You're not going to become a part of our thing. That your children, you can very well be the mother. An Edomite woman, like, here's the thing that you have to understand, man. You see, when it comes to like the last decade of the kingdom of heaven, some of those Edomite women that are going to be destroyed, that have children for Israelite men in that last decade of the kingdom of heaven, like the first 1,000 years I'm talking about, man. I don't mean like the kingdom of heaven is going to end. I mean the last decade of that first 1,000 years, right? They're going to give birth to Israelite children that are going to be mortal forever. And them children are going to eventually live out the rest of their days without their mom, right? Just like how every other child Israelite that's born in the kingdom of heaven, that's the mother, that has a mother that's a heathen, they're going to live out the rest of their days without their mom as well, and they're going to be fine. They're going to be fine, man. They're going to have their dad to let them know Wagwan, and they're going to have their own life to know what's up as well. They ain't going to be mourning that their mom was a heathen. They ain't going to be mourning all that. They ain't going to care. They ain't going to care like that, man. There's going to be more than enough Israelites around to make them be at peace. But the point I'm making is that them women are going to give birth to Israelite children, and they're still going to get Obadiah 1 and 18, man. And this is the thing that how real we get with the scriptures, man. You won't ever hear nothing like that said by a heathen. You won't ever hear nothing said like that by Christians, man. They don't talk about stuff like this. They don't get real with the scriptures like that. They don't talk about stuff like this, man. They ain't really got nothing to say deep when it comes to the Bible. They ain't mentioning nothing like that. They ain't even got deep into the so-called heaven and hell that they claim to believe in, man. They just say you're burning in hell forever. They ain't explain how. Nothing burns forever, man. But they ain't explained none of it. They ain't explained it, man, because it can't be explained because it's not real. It's not true, man. Right now, I'm going to end this video there, but I just wanted to put that out there that the heathen women don't be the salvation isn't for everyone just because you are attracted to heathen women. And on that, I'm gonna say shalom. Shalom.